Hi guys, welcome back to the Department of Filtration. Today we're going to be looking at these two filters here. We're going to be exploring a bit of a warning I have for you guys, a bit of a funny story. The first thing that we're looking at is what's the one example of a OEM changing what a filter part number is, change the filter for the same part number. Why would they do that? And the second part of it is a warning for using different brands just in general because of this particular issue, which is, I would say, would be pretty rare, but we're going to explore it. I've got here two different John Deere OEM filters, or two the same or two different, whichever way you want to look at it. They're both for AM10423 filter. As you can already see, there's a different filter, there's a different height there, and very different on the inside as well. Now, I do know why John Deere did this, and it was a little while ago that they changed these. But I'm going to leave that till the end when we discuss this. But first, we're going to have a look at them. So, the first thing I want to do real quick is take an overall measurement of the height with the gasket on. So, just so you know, the taller one with the white sticker is the old version. These are both service parts and not off a machine, and this is the new one you can buy off the shelf currently. So we take a measurement there, and it just be approximate here. Alright, it's about 74.5 mil, and this one here is just going to be shorter. Right up about just below 69 mil. What we got for the gaskets? If you look at the top, so he's not seated too well. That's alright. They both stick up average amount. Just normal rubber, so that almost be the same. So that's a shared element between the two, so they look exactly the same to me, which is fair enough. If you've changed it, why not use some of the same parts? Got a nice open base plate with 8 circle holes. So like nice threads in there. Now we've got your typical whole lot of little square holes dead in the middle. A lot smaller, but there's more of them. And on the outside, we'll have a quick look at the Made in USA hot. That's because these go on. These are a part number that go on a lot of the smaller things like your diesel lawnmowers and diesel gators and stuff like that, little 3-cylinder Yanmars. So these could possibly be open to where you could touch them, so that's why it's got hot. Instructions there. Take code on the bottom. This one's a bit more typical of a John Deere part number sticker on a small filter. Righto, we'll get these two cut open and have a quick look at them. Rightio, we've got these two cut open, so take them apart. This one here, you can see that it's a little bit rusty there. But just that's not typical. This has been sitting around for ages and ages, these filters. So on the new one here, you got a nice pliable any drain back valve. It fits over there nicely. Not bad at all. And on our older one, so a nice thick base plate with also a nice gasket there. Fits nicely, looks like it was sealed well there. In terms of threads, old one, nice, four or five there. Still nicely cut, but a few less on the new one. Now we got a big difference there. First, have a look at the cans. Obviously, as I said, a bit of a height difference. Thickness. .4. The new one there, about 0.4, 0.5. About the same. Not really too much there. I'll take a quick look at the diameter. Old one's coming up at 64.4. About 65, so negligible difference there. Now we've got leaf springs in the bottom, which to me look identical. Half of that one's got a backwards B. A little spring loaded bypass. A little bit of a shame there. This one fits nicely in the bottom of that canister and seals, which is good. On the old one here, she's a bit loose. She's just chucked together there, which is, you know, I don't like a metal on metal seal, which is exactly what that'll be right there. But that's what we get. Now we've obviously got a bit of a difference in the cores here. Old one, metal end caps, metal center tube with louvers. Nice and solid there. New one, metal end caps, plastic in a cage. Glue looks a little nicer. The glue's a little bit sloppy on here. Take a quick measurement. It's 55. About 49.50. This video is not particularly a filter review, but we'll just cut these out and have a look at them since we're here. Right, so I got the media cut out there. This is the old one, which is about 1 meter long and 39 wide. And then this is the new one's 1.2 meters. Approximately 40 mil. So there's not a lot of difference in them. The new one has probably got a little bit more filter media in it. It's got a lot more tightly packed pleats in it opposed to the old one. Just a little bit sloppy, but at least it's glued in properly. Yeah, so that's the two filters. Obviously, two quite different filters. Now, interested why in particular they chose to change it and keep the same part number and not make a new part number or anything like that. But the story with these two particular filters is this had always been the standard service part, and I never had any issues with it. That had never caused any problems, just a fine filter. One day the engineers at John Deere designed a new machine. I think it might have been a lawnmower. There's one of the engines that uses this filter on it. And they whacked it all together and sent it out to the dealerships. And when they came back for the first service, the technicians went to unscrew the filter and they couldn't get them off. The reason being the engineers had put the engine too close to the chassis, and so when this was just on the side of the engine, and it was just hitting the chassis rail, and you couldn't screw it off all the way. So the only way to take it off was to unbolt the engine and pick it up a bit, so you could screw this off all the way. Just a little bit of oversight. Not quite sure how that managed to happen, but that is the sort of thing that happens. So old mate's going to go do the service, going to just do a simple filter change, and you'd end up pulling the engine out just to be able to get the filter off. Now obviously they can't have that, so they went straight away, got this filter and changed the part number to make this filter, which is, as we found before, about what was about 5-6 mil shorter than this one, which on that particular machine allowed the filter to actually be unscrewed and screwed back on without hitting the chassis rail, which is, I find, is just a very interesting story. It's not always because of cost or changing a different supplier or whatever. These filters have some in common components. Not sure whether they were made in the same factory by the same manufacturer who makes this particular filter or not, but it is quite possible, given they share some components that are the same. So that's just a very interesting story. The other part of this story to take note of is just being careful using non-genuine filters sometimes. The reason I say that is sometimes manufacturers do things like this, where they've changed the filter and they've actually changed the specification for it so it works on the machine like it's meant to. So this one's about 74-76 mil. This one's under 70. Now I went and looked at 4 different manufacturers which are generally considered as reputable. First 3 I looked at: Fleetguard, Donaldson and Wicks. All were listed as their cross reference to this part number, a filter that was as long or longer than this, around 76-77 millimeters. And then I also looked at Ryco, and theirs was even worse. Theirs was 100 mil long, which is just going to be far too long, and that's never ever going to fit. So always, if you're changing filters to something you had before, even if you got something looks slightly different. Make sure you do compare it to what came off. So you don't want to unscrew your short filter, chuck it in the bin, and then realise the one you got to put on is not right, and you're going to have to wait to get the one that's actually going to fit on your engine. And it's a bit of a shame that some of those other manufacturers can't catch up and do their research. I'm sure there might have been some people around the world somewhere that have gone and bought one of those other brand filters for their machine. And it's just the wrong specification. It simply just doesn't fit. Which is why if you want to be confident that it's going to fit and do what it's meant to, Genuine's normally a pretty good shot. I mean, most of those other brands are normally a pretty good shot too. Donaldson and Fleetguard, real good. But that's a real shame they do that. So that's a bit of a warning there. Make sure you check before you go and do anything. If you're looking at different filters that it actually even just looks the same on the outside. Because it is possible that 5mm difference could actually make a difference between being able to even put the filter on or not. So there you have it.